Hello, everybody, and welcome to ABM Answered, the quickfire demand generation and ABM video series, or at least that's what we aim for. Today, I'm excited to be joined by the very talented account-based marketer, Melissa Alonso, who is the Senior Director of Account-Based Experience at Smartcat, an AI language platform for global enterprises, and also a previous ABM leader at UiPath. I don't envy you. They sound like very complex products to market and sell. But Melissa, do you have maybe give a bit about your background?
Absolutely. So I've been working in SaaS and software for a long time, and I think that the whole goal of ABX and ABM is to make it not complex for your customers. So I've been doing that for a number of years. I've been able to generate and start these programs with some core team members to really kind of expedite the sales process and get that revenue going a little bit quicker.
Nice, wonderful. So I guess just to run you through the rules again and the viewers, Melissa, in this case, will be given a set of questions to respond to all about ABM and Demand Gen. In this case, we're going to be kind of tackling ABX, and the questions have come from and been adapted based on the data that we collected at Mixed Reality Rooms, where over 1,000 marketers have gone through and stated what their biggest headaches are with ABM and Demand Gen at the moment. And in more recent episodes, we've started to include previous guests' questions as well.
Oh, I like that.
So Melissa, are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Right. Okay. So problem one is a nice, easy break-in, or maybe it's not, but knowing where to start. So my question would be when implementing, a demand gen program, ABM program, what do those first steps look like? What goals are important to align on? And I find it really important to have a timeline. Everyone's got crazy expectations. Mm-hmm. What's a good timeline for a pilot?
Absolutely. So I think this is a very appropriate question as I'm kind of going through this process right now at Smartcat. But I think it's about really first defining your ICP. So making sure that you're on the same page across the board. So are the sales team and CSMs and solutions engineer, are we all working towards the same goal? So I think defining that ICP by industry, company, size, location, line of business really helps to kind of set the baseline of where we're going. And I think for most companies, that's pretty defined. But for a lot of these earlier startup companies, you do need to make sure that we're on the same page and that they're not shifting it from time to time. Another big thing is consistency in the account list. So again, a lot of companies would like to, we're going to change the account list from quarter to quarter. And that is not a great way or a best practice for ABX to be effective. So really making sure that you're confirming and working on that specific account list, whether it be one-to-one ABM, one-to-few, one-to-many, but just making sure that there's kind of agreement across the board there between the entire leadership team. And that enables you to really segment and prioritize the groups so that you can align the sales and marketing. So I think that aligning sales and marketing is the way that ABX is effective. And I think that's also why it's called ABX versus sometimes ABM. ABM really puts the ownership on the account-based marketer, and ABX is the account-based experience. So it's about the leadership team. It's making sure that we're bringing in the CSMs and the sales team and the SDRs and kind of everyone across the company to create that multi-channel campaign that you're looking for. So it's kind of bringing everyone together into one specific integrated campaign that everyone's kind of working towards.
For the record as well, I actually prefer the term ABX to ABM, but I just put ABM Answered because it's well known.
No, I think it's a shift these days. So you were here before the shift.
Yeah. Wow. Does that make me a legacy mammoth, or does it?
That's it. That's it. You're the innovator.
A quick follow-on question. We don't really have time actually. Well, I'm going to go anyway. How long does that research kind of stage take typically? Just for you, obviously it varies from company to company, but how long roughly does that selecting target accounts, prioritizing and aligning stage take?
It can take as long or as little as you need it to be. I think that it just depends on where you are at the company, what's the kind of stage of the year that we're at. It all depends. But I mean, I think that you can probably get something done within 2 weeks to a month to actually confirm and go back and forth with everyone. Hopefully.
Sorry.
That's what time I have.
Well, sorry for the curveball there. Yeah. Okay.
No,
Problem 2, finding innovative ways to break through the noise on a budget. And I think maybe that last part is probably key. So what has worked I guess for you in the past? It's probably too early days at the moment.
So I feel like it's a balance between innovation and consistency. And I think that really that's what ABX delivers. So it's not about making always just like a big splash and then kind of falling off someone's radar. It's about getting on their radar and then staying on their radar for when they need to make a decision that they need your specific service. So I think that that's more about, you're not getting them in that exact moment all the time, but you're starting that conversation and that communication stream so that in 6 months from now, when they do need a language translation, that they're going to think about, oh, it's Smartcat that I need to go to. So I think that that's kind of the difference between making a big splash versus kind of really getting to know them and personalizing the content and creating a relationship with the individual and highlighting those success stories that they can relate to. And that's really what makes a difference in the long haul.
Nice. You're doing my job for me because this is flowing perfectly into problem 3, which is middle of the funnel jam, right? So to your point just now, how do you stay top of mind? And, like maybe they get stuck. Is there any way to kind of, I don't know, any smart ninja trick, or maybe is it just a slog of just keep trying to stay, giving them value
in front of them? Yeah, I mean, I always say like marketing is not rocket science, but it is about consistency and it is about communication. So it truly is just kind of being there and creating that thought leadership for what you're trying to accomplish. If you can focus on, instead of focusing on the product and focus on the business problems, I think that people relate to it much easier. It kind of sticks with them in a longer, more impactful way because you're talking about what they're dealing with on a daily basis. Like we're talking now about L&D people and how they are having to translate all of these different videos and website and this and that. Well, that's their daily life. So instead of talking about a specific product, you're talking about the solution that it's delivering and kind of keeping them out of that middle of the funnel jam up, as you said. Like it's about connecting them with other people who have similar problems so that, again, maybe it's not in this moment that you need the solution, but you have had the conversation, you've gotten the customer success stories from other people that have used this, and that kind of keeps everything moving forward.
Well, I also think that's exactly why ABX sounds better than ABM, because you're trying to get into the experience of that. What are your, to throw another buzzword out there, ICP acronym, sorry. What is their experience, their day-to-day experience? Whereas marketing sounds very like aggressive one way, like let's put it in front of them. Like it is truly kind of about that. So I think that's a solid answer. Problem 4 is upselling within enterprises. I think this has been more of a focus, last couple of years, maybe because, budgets have tightened up. They want to kind of maximize current accounts. But what are some effective ways to, upsell, let's say cloud products, AI products into enterprises? And how do you know, and this last part is a bit kind of tricky, but I'm going to throw it in, like, how do you know when's the time to kind of increase the price of your offering?
So everything that I've done for ABM in the past, which is ABX, has really been about upselling. So there's not really been a lot of focus on net new from my experience. I think the one to many, one to few helps to warm up and create those new warm leads for the company that you're promoting the product. But I think the difference is that when you're doing that true experience is that you're aiming to get beyond the group that was initially interested. And a lot of times what we presented to when we have done customer champion supported ABX is that we're very honest about there's a give for the get. So we're willing to do enablement, engagement, we'll do webinars, live events, programs, and we'll handle all the budget for that. But you know why we're doing this. Like we want you to be fully engaged and we want you to use our product and be fully satisfied and tell your friends. But the reason is that we want more people to be using this. So I think if you're kind of honest about it, that you're supporting them because you do want their customer journey to be like satisfying for them. You want them to see the best parts of what they're using. But there's a reason that you want them to tell their friends so that they also can be kind of participants in what you're doing. So I think being a little bit upfront about that and creating that groundswell, but also to create that C-suite engagement kind of gives you the both sides of the funnel where you're able to kind of, when the sales team needs to, like you said, elevate the conversation, that they're able to do that and they have the support and the interest from the company from both sides that they're able to confidently say that there's an opportunity there.
I think that's great because, there's one thing doing stuff in goodwill and it does eventually come back around to you, right? If you just do all these activities, make people kind of like look good, but being kind of upfront about it from the offset does kind of put them in that state of mind that this is what we're gearing towards. And from my experience as well, not that it's important, you're the star again. a lot of champions want you to do well. Like if your product's delivering them value, like we've even had clients before tell us kind of like somewhat behind the scenes, we can increase like the pricing of our services. So yeah, it's solid.
Yeah, I mean, when the champion, I feel like it just seems like an easy solution when the champion at the company is succeeding because of something that they've used that is a result of your team and your company. They're willing to kind of like they're going to see success. The company will see success. They're willing to kind of move the conversation to others. I mean, they're willing to be a spokesperson for you, and in turn, it just kind of like snowballs into the next big opportunity.
Talking of opportunities, the next one is tracking and reporting on return on investment. How do you relay all your efforts to the big dogs, make them believe in ABX?
Absolutely. So the good thing is I started off my career working in data analytics. So I had a beautiful dashboard. I could highly interact with everything. We knew who was attending and where the primary and the influence opportunities were. Not everybody has that, but I think that it is truly looking at the entire funnel. So it's not just about the ABX team. The ABX team is typically very small too. It's about kind of all of the efforts of the teams together and how they're able to contribute to creating ARR for the customer, creating additional revenue. Like, how are we doing that together? And I think a lot of times it's kind of frustrating from an ABX perspective is that a lot of times you're not getting specific stats on people who are clicking on a website. It's more about, I don't know, yeah, we're seeing an uptick. Well, who is it? So it's hard to kind of pull the specific numbers, but being able to show that we're getting more website traffic and this is during the time that we were running digital ads and we were doing personalized LinkedIn ads as well. There's a way to kind of show the relationship between the two. And I think you really have to be clear that we're looking at everything in general to see the awareness, the engagement, and really how we're tracking as a whole from the company to drive that line of business growth and kind of drive that product growth. So I really think you have to think outside of just what you specifically are doing. And I think to think as a team, which is what the ABX opportunity does. It kind of brings everyone together so you're working as a team.
Do you find finding those kind of comparisons of like, hey, we've injected more into display ads and this is the overall outcome, like easy to do? Because obviously attribution is like one of the most difficult things right now for every B2B marketer. And because there are so many variables, the example I use is like if you're creating like a automated email campaign, right? And you change more than one variable and it has a positive or negative impact, you don't know what part of that caused what. And when you run multiple campaigns, I imagine, well, you're a data girl, you know, like I wish I was as smart as you, but like, I guess it's a balance of you can waste too much time getting lost in the numbers, but also you could be too wishy-washy with like what caused what impact. I'm just kind of brain dumping, I guess, on you right now. I don't know if you had any kind of thoughts on that.
No, I mean, I think that there's a lot of things. Like I would say I typically would feel things from like my gut, but there's the data that will back it up. But you have to have the right amount of information. And I think maybe you have to make smaller tweaks. So maybe it is that you can't change 4 different items in a campaign because you want to see what's going to work and what's not going to work. But it is very difficult to put and to figure out the right way to look at kind of the relationship between everything so that you can figure out the best way to move and what's working and what's not working. But I think you can see like as a whole, if you're going to do digital ads and you're going to customize them by using the customer logo and you see an uptick on the interest on the website, likely, unless there's like 1,000 other campaigns going on, like most likely there's some relationship there. So I think it takes a little bit of faith. And I think that's also why you have to do a good long-term kind of study, if you will. And it can't just be like for a quarter. You have to see how it's run over time. Just look at the awareness and the engagement and kind of the relationship of what you've been trying to execute.
Yeah, I think I'm going to need professional help when it comes to attribution. Maybe I'll come to you.
Go to Click. They've got all the dashboards for you.
I was at the Click conference. Was it this week? Early this week? No, or last week in New York. Yeah, they blew my mind. They had like an AI conference. It's really it's insane. Yep. Crunching the numbers. Problem 6. I'm conscious we're running out of time, but getting people to your events now. Well, one, Do you leverage events in your ABX campaigns? And if so, and also this is a question that came in from two guests, Matt Conaway and also Erica Smith. They asked, how do you get people there? And I guess we can talk about cadences as well. Like, how often would you run an event if you do events?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you have to be cognizant that the world does not revolve around your events. And it's not, I would say it's quality over quantity. But a lot of the success that we've seen, and I've seen personally in running ABX campaigns, is that you have a customer champion and you have somebody that's within that company that's willing to share the invitations. Obviously, there's a lot of email things that are blocked and even ads and things that really can't get through. When you have that person internally that can connect you with the comms team, that can connect you with the other department's leader to share this invitation, whether it be an on-site event or a virtual event, that makes all the difference in the world. So really kind of making sure that you have that internal champion. But I think the success of a lot of these in-person events and things that you're trying to pull together, it's all about that relationship. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to go to a dinner with somebody that they don't know for a product that they've never heard of, because people are busy and they don't really have time for that. So I think it's about, like I said in the beginning, like really establishing that relationship and making sure that there's consistency and there's information and there's been something built up so that they have a little confidence in what you're going to provide at that event.
Yeah, no one likes going to a cold networking event or anything, do they? But if they're connected with their peers slightly, I guess that does make all the difference.
Yeah, especially if you're going for a higher like C-suite type of relationship. I mean, you really want to make sure that you're going to deliver. And if they have seen you delivering that information, that content, and those ideas in the past, then why wouldn't you do it this time again?
Well, that's a nice way to do it as well, because I find like if you do have like a personal brand as well, like I went to Drive by Dave Gerhardt's Exit 5 in last month in Vermont, and there was some like people there who like I've always seen on LinkedIn, and it felt like I somewhat knew them already, and that kind of got me excited to want to go as well. I'm too scared to talk to them, but like it's just like, hey Devin, or like, hey Dave. That's kind of a nice way to think about it as well.
It is.
We've got 4 minutes. I can overrun a tiny bit, but like we have questions from Henry, Davide, and Drew. Do you have one that you want to respond to, or would you like me to read them all out?
Let me think. I would say a question that I would like to answer, because I don't know that I have the answer, is the best way to do ABM without investing in expensive tools like 6 Sense or Demand Base.
Love it. Yes. Let's go with Drew's question. So Drew asked, what is the best way to do ABM without investing in expensive tools like 6 Sense or Demand Base?
Yeah. I think that there's an opportunity to be the communication hub and to be that team member that brings everyone together. And if you can just create a framework and bring all the different parts of kind of the puzzle of the company, of the efforts from outbound sales to the AE, to the CSM team, to the solution engineer, and create some type of automated, consistent communication to the customers that is personalized to their business problems and that is going to give them multiple ways to kind of look at you as a thought leader, that hopefully will be kind of the first step in creating that customer journey and that ABM experience, that they can truly believe and see you as the answer to their problems. So I think that it can be done without some of these expensive tools.
Well, yeah, I guess personalization, actual human, like trying to understand and going through one or two people to get to the right person, like that's ultimately going to beat intent data. Not saying they just do intent data, these tools, but like it's going to smash that every time at the park, I think.
And you're still customizing, you're still delivering that personalized message, you're still giving them business problem solutions, but you're doing it, I guess, in a way that you can kind of put the work in at the front end and then automate it and customize it as you go through the process.
Sure. Phenomenal. Right. This is great. You've survived, you've passed, you've qualified. Maybe we should start giving out accreditations for this.
Oh, I want a badge.
Yeah. I mean, HR are typically like all the accreditations, but why not marketers? Melissa, the last thing I'll ask you just before you go is, do you have a question for our next guest?
Yes, I do. And it has to do with the last question I just answered. So how have you actually leveraged 6 Sense in your ABX campaigns?
All right. That's great. I can't wait to ask that question. Melissa, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.